Right, welcome back to the tournament rounds. So this is Jamega Tour. Basically, I've had 2 months off competing. This is my first event for a couple months. The title's probably going to be something about maybe like Heartbreak or something, because that's what golf does to you. It's a pretty frustrating round, pretty solid for most of it, and you'll see why the title. You see what the title's for at the end. But as always, going to take you through shot by shot, showing every single shot. Cheers to Ben for coming and filming today, as Ollie was not available. This is Luton Hoo, which is in Luton, surprisingly. First time I played it. Obviously played practice round yesterday with Koenig, and actually played with Koenig today, or Koenig, he likes to be called. So, first hole is 450 yards, and I hit 2 on off the tee. Just because driver, you can sort of get stuck behind the trees down there. Had 190 out of like a flyery lie. So this is actually wedge. I was aiming for the heart of the green, sort of where that light bit of the tree is, and just pushed it a tad, but ended up pushing it a bit long. Left myself a tricky little chip with, or pitch, with not much green to work with on the first. This is probably the worst part of my game, or it definitely is. So the worst part of my game is, you know, pitching, chipping. I'm actually striking it pretty well at the moment. So that was a bit of a tester. So for me, that was a pretty good result. Left myself a nice, easy inside left par putt from 4 foot, and just didn't commit to it. Just put a pretty poor stroke on it. But if you want to see ball flights, I think you can see this one pretty well. This is a 550 yard par 5 dog leg round the corner. Hit a really good drive. Left myself 190, and 190 downwind flyer lie. This is gap wedge, and Ben didn't quite catch this coming down. It's coming down right side of the green. You might have just seen it land there, but again, knocked it sort of like onto the back edge. This is sort of how bouncy it is, and the rough here is a bit unpredictable. Sometimes you get big flyers, sometimes you don't. Obviously that one I did, so you got to play for it every time just in case. Left myself a big breaker for birdie from 6 foot, so got the one I lost on the first. Here's another ball flight. So this is 380 yard par 4 with water to carry at 250, so just pumping a 2-iron over. Hit a really nice 2-iron here, and up the hill left myself 94 yards. So this is playing around 100 yards, just up a little bit. This is a 55-degree wedge, which I pushed a tad, but got pin high, so I had a pretty good birdie putt, or good chance. So after the read, this looked like before I did the aim putt, looks like I was going to go left, but trusted my read, straight putt down the hill, hit a good one. So gets it under par. Now this is 100. I think this is playing with the wind about 200 yards, but the green slopes like proper back to front. So I didn't want to. I did the same in the practice round yesterday. Just didn't want to go long. Didn't feel comfortable over this tee shot, and just hit like a flary 6-iron, slightly fat, very spinny up in the wind. I left myself a difficult up and down from, so like 30 yards. Almost played this one well, just landed a bit short, but most importantly, just trying to leave myself an upfield putt. You can't really see the green, how much the green slopes from back to front, but anything long is struggling to keep it short of the hole. So gave myself a decent look at making par, and just bombed a pull up through the break, and then had this downhill 2-footer, and if this missed, that was probably like 12-foot by, so just crammed it in front of the flag. Onto the fifth. This is 440 yard par 4. This one just leaked out to the right, and had 100 and this is into the wind this hole, so I had 175 yards from here. Again, it's that flyery rough, so just hitting a wedge. I didn't say little wedge, it's a full wedge, that one. And hit a pretty good shot, landed just short, like huge bounce, like up in the air. Basically around the greens, it's like rock hard until you get right to the near part. So it's sort of hard to judge, but gave myself a good look at birdie. Greens were running really, really well, and oh. I thought that was in, as you can see. But anyway, knocked it in for par. Here's another ball flight. This is a 388 yard par 4, just straight down. Driver, if you pull a driver, there's the trees down there at 340, so just trying to lay short of those. Left myself a pretty easy wedge shot from, it's like 95 yards. 55-degree wedge, and just didn't hit this one well. Didn't get it driving forward, just sort of span up in the air, in the wind. Got a big kick on the fringe, and then knocked it to this back part of the green. You can't see you can't see the hole here, but I've got sort of like 20 foot. This is pretty quick. This is one of the dry greens. There's a few of the greens, about 5 of the greens were quite dry and burnt out, and then the rest of them were fairly soft. So the ones that were burnt out, they're just running probably like a foot or half a foot quicker. But anyway, solid par. So this is 196 yards down off the right. It's not like there's a lot of wind, but it's sort of like a half club wind for most of the day. Absolute scorcher as well. It was like 28 to 30 degrees today. So hit a 7-iron here, a decent 7-iron, and like I thought this was really good, but just landed long. So long is not good here. It's like a downslope playing through the rough, but I just managed to just sort of like nobble one down through, which came out really well. I was actually really impressed with this. Like for my short game, that was quite good. I don't like talk myself down. But yeah, I was happy to walk away with par. Now this is big par 5 up the hill. Again, I think this is about 550, but it's uphill into wind, and left myself 250, and this was just like a button 2-iron. This is probably playing like towards 270. I think this pitch sort of like middle of the green or pin high, just rolled out to the back, but 2 really solid shots. Had a long birdie putt downhill, which I thought I rammed, but ended up, you know, probably leaving myself the best leave here, which is like a 4-foot putt inside left. Pretty solid, get it back under par. So pretty good at this stage. Dogleg left par 4, just left this 4-iron out there, and this is the hard bit. So you get in the rough, because it's quite thick and juicy. You've got to play for a fly. So this is 160 gap wedge, but this one just didn't fly, came up spinny, and like high right spinny one, and I just left myself in the worst spot. I was trying to actually miss this like 10 left of the flag and give myself an easy chance, because you can't really see where the flag is here, but it's pretty tucked to the side of like to the bank, so it's a tricky up and down, but got myself in a fairly decent spot here to save par. Just didn't quite trust the read. Felt like this moved left, and my read was saying just outside right. Ended up just pushing it a tad and missed it. You know, just not trusting the read, which is a shame. Right, Ben went in to get the rounds in, to get refueled, not in that way. This is pretty standard par 4, 380, and I actually have 130 in here, but because you get a fly line, because it's so firm in front of the greens, I'm actually having to hit 55 degrees, sort of land that at 110 and then bounce it up. It's the only way you can get it pin high. Gave it some body English, and you're going to like this flight. It's a downhill par 4. Me and Connig hit 2 like big drives down here. So Connig managed to get his about 20 right of mine. So I think mine was like 380, Connig's was like 400 down on the right. Had 150. I think I'm shouting go or sit. Yeah, sit. So it was a gap wedge from 150, and it did manage to sit, but right in the front of the green, so it was like a soft patch at the front. A bit too much pace. 5 footer. This was just outside the hole on the right. This is straight in the centre. And then we've got a 450 yard par 4 straight back up the hill into wind. Hit it up the left, but way out of the trees. And I had 160 in here, and this is a gap wedge. Again, I seem to be playing from the rough quite a bit. It's a gap wedge that's landed pin high 160 uphill into wind and gone over the back. I left myself in just like this lie. I spent like 3 minutes trying to, or however long, trying to work out how to play this. I was trying to work out whether the club was going to move through, getting the toe in the ground, or what I needed to do. It was like buried in some rough. I mean, that's terrible. I was weighing up putting that and just like stabbing it to get it moving. I should have hit the putt. I would have got it a lot closer than that. Would have given myself a good par putt or par chance. It's a 245 yard par 3. It's actually a par 4, but they moved it to a par 3 this week. 4 iron, nice little kick onto the green. Like massive putt up the green. This is all of like 70 foot. Decent pace. Fairly solid.
Good 2 putt.
And then we're on to a 380 yard par 4. On the yardage chart, it's 380. Now I've actually pulled the 2 iron. It wasn't the play 2 iron. It is if you do this. Well, I didn't mean to hook it around the corner. Ended up knocking it like within 30 yards of the front of the green. And then, yeah, just really pissed off. It's like that part of the game, I'm losing quite a lot of shots at the moment. Just like pitching and stuff around the greens. Although I have not played a tournament round for like 2 months, so it is a bit rusty. But yeah, should be converting that really, or giving myself a good chance of birdie. So this is 200 yards, par 3, 7 iron, just trying to sort of hit this to the fat part of the green and let the wind take it, but the wind didn't touch it at all. And it stayed out on the right. This is again like 60 foot across the green. And this is where the start of the mental mistakes. So I didn't trust my read here, and just pulled it. And then this is the start of an absolute disaster. So I don't know if this is down to a bit of dehydration or whatever, or just not being competitively sharp, but I'm trying to draw a driver off of that tree. Now in practice round I did it and I had a wedge into this par 5, but I leaked one out. Found out that the rough up there was like knee-high lost ball. So this is my provisional ball, which I got round the corner. Had 9 iron here from 210. Hit a decent pitch, but this is just like taken off. And now I've got a putt to make bogey on a hole. I mean, it's par 5, par 5, par 4 finish, and I was 1 over, I was thinking, and that's literally just caught the rim. So double, and it doesn't stop there. This is, at the time, this is heartbreaking, because I had sort of had like a respectable round going together. It's a funky hole. It's a bit of a stupid hole, really. 17. You've got like 3 trees that like in the middle of the fairway, so you're trying to like thread it through them. I hit it up the right, hit the second one pretty much where this one was, found the second one. I mean, look at this stuff over here. And you never want to find a provisional in this spot, do you, when you've just made a double. Knocked it out, had 210. Hit it up by the green, just right at the green, hit the tree, came back, got stuck under the tree, and then had nothing, short-sided. Couldn't play the high one because I had to chip it under the tree, and it just got snagged in the rough. And I'll give it away, knocked it on, missed it. So from, like I said, from what was a fairly respectable round level, and possibly getting it, you know, 1 or 2 under, playing the par 5s, which is sort of my game, I then walk off 7 over par. And at this point, the head was well and truly off. This is 160 gap wedge into the last, and this is fine. Ended up making par here, but yeah, bit of a, well, I say bit of a frustrating day, like an extremely frustrating day. But it's the first tournament round back, positives to take with the ball striking. Just gotta. It's just like decision making is obviously a massive part of golf, and it's the area of my game that is lacking at the moment, which would probably save me quite a few shots over the last few holes. But there we go. That is the tournament rounds. Hope you enjoyed it. Second round coming over the next few days, if not tomorrow. Let's go low, try and shoot a good one. We'll be in the £10 sweep, and hopefully we can get one on the par. Right, see you soon.